Elektra, like many comic book characters, has dabbled in death and resurrection a few times over. But what if she was kept dead, and all of her appearances after the fact were really the work of a shape-shifting alien? Is Elektra secretly a Skrull? Well, no, but she almost was. Elektra Natchios was created by Frank Miller and debuted in Daredevil number 168 from 1981, the cover of which actually misspelled her name with an added C. Has nothing to do with this video, but I always find those kinds of things fun. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure we all know that famous scene in Daredevil number 181 when Elektra is stabbed by Bullseye with her own sai, marking her first comic death. That's right, she was only around for about a year before being killed off, and then brought back shortly after in Daredevil number 190. Frank Miller would leave Daredevil one issue later, but he brought back Elektra in 1990 in a little-known graphic novel called Elektra Lives Again, where she not only lived again, like the title promises, but also died again. The difference is that this time she wasn't brought back to life. Elektra was dead. At least, that's what Miller had intended. He even went so far as to strike a deal with Daredevil's editor, Ralph Macchio, not that Ralph Macchio, to make sure that the character stayed dead for good. But of course they never stuck to that deal. It wasn't Macchio's fault either. An interview with his assistant, Pat Garrahy, explained that Macchio made the deal when Marvel was a private company. When the company went public, the decision to keep Elektra dead was no longer in Macchio's hands. It was the higher-ups who made the decision to bring her back because, quote, they wanted to play with her potential as an action figure. So yeah, they brought back Elektra into the land of the living for potential toy sales and effectively broke the promise to Miller that she would stay dead. Some people at Marvel weren't too happy about this and tried to find creative ways to right the company's wrongs. Enter Erik Larsen, one of the founders of Image Comics with the series Savage Dragon. He was working for Marvel at the time on their Nova book and thought he could sneak in a little Easter egg for the eagle-eyed readers. In the opening sequence of Nova number 3 from 1999, Larsen wanted there to be an Elektra Skrull being arrested after battling with Nova. The idea was that Elektra really did die after Miller killed her that second time, and every other comic book appearance since then was really this Skrull imposter. This would mean that Marvel technically kept their promise to Miller that the real Elektra whom he had created was still very much dead. All of her other adventures were simply that of a shapeshifter. Of course, Larsen never got permission to do this. He was hoping that no one at Marvel would notice. Unfortunately, somebody did. And who else but Ralph Macchio? And you would think that he would be all for letting this Easter egg slide since he was the one who made the deal with Miller, but no. He told Larsen to take it out, which Larsen did, by replacing the Elektra Skrull with a Savage Dragon Skrull instead in an attempt to promote his own Image comic inside of a Marvel comic, which I find hilarious. What's really interesting is that this whole thing took place 8 years before the Marvel event Secret Invasion, in which Elektra was revealed to be a Skrull. Does this mean that the real Elektra really was dead all along? No, of course not. She was still very much alive, just being held on a Skrull ship, and she was released, or whatever. Look, I like Elektra, I really do, but sometimes you just need to let a character die. What do you guys think? Should Marvel have honored their promise and kept Elektra dead, or are you glad that she was brought back? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. In honor of Daredevil Season 2, here's a playlist of videos about the Man Without Fear that you can binge watch. Click right here to learn all about how he can see, how he's connected to the Ninja Turtles, and more. There's no more? Just those two? Alright, whatever. There's also this video, which features some more comic book shenanigans with a story about how Howard the Duck might also be an imposter. I'm sensing a theme here. Links to these videos will be in the description below. And make sure you hit that big sexy subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the new videos we here at NerdSync make for you every week that explore the history, science, art, and philosophy behind your favorite comic book superheroes. My name is Scott, reminding you to read between the panels and grow smarter through comics. See ya.